Are we live?
Mm-hmm.
Are we live? Perfect. All right. Welcome. Hello, everyone, to the Jacob Michael Show. I'm Jacob Michael. With me, as always, is Matt Trigar.
How's it doing?
This is our first episode. First and foremost, I guess I want to say I'm sorry to everyone who's been waiting, friends and family.
We got lots of people. We told a lot of people.
We told a lot of people that we were going to be doing this, and we have
Just like a pair of high schoolers or kids. We were like, yeah, we're gonna do a podcast, everyone.
Yeah,
And they're like,
we were really excited for this, and it took a little bit longer than expected because kind of on the back end of things, we wanted to make sure it was done right. And we wanted to make sure that it was done to the best of our abilities because this is something that me and Matt have been planning for probably like 4 or 5 months now, really. We've really kind of...
We did a lot of demos because, just like you said, we wanted to do it correctly.
Exactly.
And the first time that we got together and did one, it was a lot harder than we thought
It was.
gonna be,
Yes.
Yeah.
Doing a podcast is a lot harder. And as listeners, we want to make sure that you guys are enjoying the content and making sure that you want to be a part of this podcast and want to listen, because that's the reason why we're doing it, is because not only do we not want to mess around and have fun, but we want to make sure that you're having an enjoyable time listening to us. So that's why we've been doing a lot of demos, just to kind of make sure not that we don't feel confident, but just to make sure that we're having the right content and we're making the right stuff available for everyone. So
It's kind of hard to hear yourself talk too.
it is.
Yeah.
It is. I don't know about Matt here, but I tend to judge myself a lot. So once you listen to yourself, you go, oh, I could have changed that and this and that, and then you...
So it takes you a few months to get over it.
Absolutely. But this is going to be our first episode. Me and Matt had lunch at the Smokehouse in Burbank on Monday,
Yeah.
and we talked and we said, you know what,
Fancy.
we've done so many demos and we really feel confident with the material that we're putting out,
Yeah.
and I think this should be it. So this is it.
Yeah, well, we're finally comfortable speaking now. So, I think it's just time to start because we're going to get better as we go.
Yeah,
It's just time to start.
It's time to make it happen.
Yeah.
Before we kind of jump into movies and all the fun stuff, I do want to do a shout out, and I don't want to get political on this show. The Jacob Michael Show is not about politics, but I do want to extend my heart out to the people involved in the El Paso
Oh, that's correct.
shootings,
Yeah, that's
along
right.
with the Dayton, Ohio shootings. I think that anytime you have a situation where life is lost, I think that that's horrible, and I think that it's something that shouldn't be shied away from. And I think the people that are talking about it, and I think that there is awareness for it. Again, I don't want to get too into it, but my heart and soul really goes out to the family members of those who passed, and it's just it's just messed up, and I really want to make sure that we be aware of it, and we be aware of where we're at in history, and we be aware of what's going on in this world and what's going on, because we're in a very interesting state in our world, in America in particular. We're in a very I think tense time. I think we're in a time of not knowing who we are and not knowing what we stand for, and I think that there's a lot of...
thing that's sad about it too is it's every time something like that breaks out on the news, to everyone else it's just another one.
Yeah, I felt the same way. I'm driving, and you get to a point where we've had so many shootings in the past couple of years that it's just like, oh, there's another one. And there's where something 5 or 10 years ago it'd be like, oh man, and that would be it would kind of shock you.
Yeah,
Where
it would
now
be
it's
memorable. It was a memorable, like Sandy Hook was like huge, and
Yeah.
like, everyone remembers it, and Columbine was so huge, and now we're getting to a point where we don't even remember the names of each one of the shootings because there's just so many.
Yeah, and that's not a good place to be.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not gonna go into the politics. I don't know the answer, and I don't even want to think about what the solution is. Like I said, there are people that are doing that, and if you get a chance, please make sure you stay tuned to what's going on, and stay tuned to the election and who you're voting for, because I think that's important. But again, my heart and soul goes out to everyone who is involved in that, and I'll never know, the feeling of that. But I can't imagine what you're going through, and I love you, and I hope that, I hope that you can get through it. Okay, so I wanted to take a moment to definitely reach out to everyone and address that, because that's very important. With that being said, it has been a while since I've seen Matt. A lot of stuff has gone down.
Yeah, you were taking some trips.
I was. I took a week back in Michigan, where I'm from. I'm from a city called Livonia, right outside Detroit, and I took a week back there. And it's weird because moving. I've been in LA for almost 3 years now, and it's weird when you kind of go back. For people who are from the Midwest, you kind of go back and it's just slow down, like incredibly, in terms of traffic and people, and everything is just slow motion compared to out here. Because out here in LA, I think the city of LA has like 4 million people, where the city of Detroit has like 600,000. So there's a night and day difference amount of people. And but it was really good to see the fam. It was really good to see the family. Got to hang out and got to do a lot of drinking with family members, because that's what we do.
I remember seeing your uncle. And
so
and you two at Lion King. I could just tell right off the bat. I was like, oh god, you came straight out of Hooters.
yeah. So a week before I went to Michigan, my uncle Don came out, and we drank a lot. My uncle.
Like I said, I could tell right off the bat.
Yeah. My uncle doesn't drink that much, because he is a substance abuse counselor, and he kind of watches what he drinks. Me, I drink a lot, and we went to Hooters, right? But because we were gonna go to Baja Fresh, but Baja Fresh was closed.
Yeah.
Well, there was a Hooters next door, and of course we're gonna take advantage of that. And we went to Hooters, and we're talking to these girls, and he's doing magic. Hey, he's doing magic, and like.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Uncle Don pulling some moves.
Uncle Don pulling the moves, getting the ladies with his jumping jacks. He busts out his coins. He's like, "You want to see a magic trick? Bam, bam, bam." Booze are flowing. So, we saw Lion King. This was your first time at the Chinese theater in Hollywood.
Grauman's, or what is it called?
TCL. It's called the TCL now. It used to be called the Garments, and you had an unpleasant experience.
It was very unpleasant. It was terrible.
Which really makes me cry, because the Chinese theater is such a staple in Hollywood. I just it's a lot of people. I listen to the Kevin Smith podcast, the Fat Man Beyond podcast, and he's always talking about how he went when he was young, and Kevin Smith went to the Chinese theater, and that was a big impacting moment for him in his directing career. And you go, Matt, and you just have a shit time.
Yeah, it was not fun. Yeah,
Talk to me. What's going on?
So anytime you're in the middle of a theater, right, and 20 minutes into it, you're still listening to it. Yeah, I think my seat's over there. It's in the middle of two people. You think we could still make it over there? You know what? How about we just, and then after you kind of stare at them for a while, and then they turn on their flashlights.
Yeah, it's no bueno.
And you can't even, at this point, you're just looking at the ground. You're not even looking at the movie.
Yeah,
you can't even hear it. And then finally, when I think everyone has gotten to their seats throughout the movie, people were still going in, like coming in and out. But like for the first 20 minutes, people were still coming in as if like the previews were still on. And then finally, when that calmed down, it was okay for a second. And then this dude behind me, he was so drunk. And every time Puma was on screen, he didn't say anything.
Yeah.
Nothing was said.
He was just having a field day.
I'm like, God. And then he would get up to get a beer. Like, he didn't just get, like, a couple of beers and stay there. He had to get up each time and get one.
Yeah.
And he kicked my seat every single time. And I don't complain about people kicking seats. I mean, like, I understand it's a tight space. You bump around. It's fine. Like, I get it.
Yeah.
It's when you punt it is when I have an issue.
Yeah.
When my head goes forward as a result of you kicking my chair is when I have an issue.
True.
And that happened a bunch of times.
Can you open that?
Yeah.
Thank you.
And so by the end of the movie, I was like, I've seen none of it because I was so aggravated the entire time. Yeah. So
I threw you. So, for those of you listening, we saw. Thank you. We saw The Lion King at the Garment Theater. We saw it opening night. It was a Thursday. The opening night, and you know, I'm a big fan of the original Lion King. I grew up on the original Lion King.
It's my favorite Disney movie.
It's Matt's favorite Disney movie. It's one of the best. It's one of, I think, if you ask someone on the street what's your favorite Disney animated film, I think The Lion King would be 1 out of 4 probably.
It's one of the bigger ones, like Little Mermaid.
Yeah. So and it's beloved. I was a big fan of. They made a sequel called The Lion King 1.5, which was the story of the Lion King through Timon and Pumbaa's version.
Yeah.
Really funny. But The Lion King, I remember watching that as a child a lot, and that movie resonates with a lot of people. So when they announced that they were doing a live action film, I was like, oh okay, you know. I'm kind of excited, and then they said that Jon Favreau was directing, and I was like, oh okay, I love Jon Favreau, and then they started announcing the cast, and they were like, oh, Beyonce is going to be in it, and Gambino is going to be in it, and Billy Eichner and Seth Rogen, and I was like, oh, like shit, they're actually like they're doing it.
A lot of names attached.
So this was obviously a big project, big names, big money.
Yeah. Same movie.
It wasn't bad. It was visually remarkable. Does that make sense? It was, when you watch it, you go, wow, this is something that is cutting edge. Being able to take CGI and make it look so realistic and so like you're actually watching a documentary. And I think that's what they were going for, is that you actually feel like you're in the savannah and you're in the jungle and you're actually seeing live action animals.
Yeah. A lot of people that I talked to as I came into work were saying that they were upset because they felt that it was hyper animated.
Really?
Yeah, they thought that the lions' faces were going to they thought that it was animated too much and too realistic.
Wow. I was very tired for that showing because when my uncle came into town, we were doing shit all week. So I work at a restaurant, and I work usually the breakfast and lunch shift. So I get up either 5 in the morning, 6 in the morning, 7 in the morning, go to work until 2. During that time, my uncle would be sleeping or kind of relaxing. So by the time I got off of work, he's like, all right, let's go.
Yeah.
And I'm like, whoa, man, I've just been at work all day. And he's like, no, we got to go. So I was kind of busy from 6 in the morning all the way till 2 in the morning. So by the time we saw The Lion King, I was just smoked. So I didn't fall asleep at all, but I was definitely tired through it. But from what I did see, really, really enjoyed, and my favorite part of the original Lion King was Timon and Pumbaa. I mean, those are kind of standouts for me. Timon in particular because he's skinny and I'm skinny, and I thought that Billy Eichner and Seth Rogen did that justice. And not like, oh, they nailed it, but the same way that Will Smith did the genie.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what? I'm buying that.
Yeah, they did fine. Yeah, they did
everyone else was just kind of like,
I had actually
okay.
like I had no I mean everyone kind of had the issue with the genie and Will Smith. Everyone kind of had that skeptical kind of feeling towards it. I had no issue with Seth Rogen. I was so excited to see.
Yeah, I mean, that's his character.
I was like,
I
I can't wait to see.
But at the end of the day, it's a remake, not a remake. It's a retelling. At the end of the day, it's the same story. The only thing, and it's the same thing I'm going to say about Aladdin, is this movie is for a new generation of kids that are growing up that
Yeah.
want to see Disney movies.
Yeah.
When I have kids of my own, I'm going to show them the original first because
Yeah.
I thought the original was better.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it was the same movie.
Yeah, and I'm not saying this movie was bad. I'm just saying I'm going to show them the original first because I think the original has a X factor. The original
Well,
has
it was the first time that it was told.
Yeah,
I
and
for you, it might.
yeah, I mean, I grew up on the original.
Yeah, it's speaking to like kids who just saw it for the first time in the theaters.
And I'm sure
now,
they loved it. And I'm
you
sure
know,
they loved it.
They may think the same thing about that as
Exactly.
the original. They might think that this one was better than the original because it's the first time they saw it. So
Yeah, and and it's making a lot of money, and I mean, and if this movie inspires young kids, I'm all for it.
yeah,
So, and I understand because in their perspective, what more can you add? It's like kind of like why reinvent the wheel? The story is almost perfect. So why would you want to add? It's not like Cinderella
Yeah,
where you
there-
can kind of change it, or it's not like Beauty and the Beast where you can add
yeah.
elements.
There's not a lot where you can head in the direction. I mean, because Lion King was very A to B.
Yep.
And
I mean, people love the story, so why
Yeah.
not just retell it? So we saw The Lion King. We like it. If I'm gonna give it a score, I'd give it a B plus.
to me, I can't score it really because, like I said, it to me was the same thing as the
Yeah,
original.
there's no.
Yeah, I can't really give it a score.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the original, so it's, A, so that was my favorite Disney movie.
Yep,
So-
yep. So and then a couple days ago we saw Hobbs and Shaw
I saw Hobbs and Shaw.
from Universal. I was excited about this more than probably most people because I really am a big fan of The Rock, and I'm a big fan of what's his name? Who's the other guy in it?
Jason Statham.
Jason Statham. I'm a big fan of Jason Statham. So, and the commercial just looked. I mean, the trailers just looked so ridiculous
Yeah,
for this film. They just looked so over the top.
yeah. Which is what the movie was.
The movie was so
Yeah.
it was so over the top. Like
it was very.
more over like they went hard on just like, well, that's not real, but
Yeah.
they went hard. I fell asleep through some of this film, not because I wanted to, not because I wanted to. It's not like I hate film, but like I said, I work mornings now, and I get up early and.
Sleeping now. He's sleeping right now, right on the mic.
Yeah, right now. Yep, I'm yawning right now on the mic. I
Yeah.
gotta get up at 5 in the morning tomorrow. So, kind of thinking about that. But
Yeah.
the movie wasn't bad. Okay, and the movie.
It was a good movie. I mean, like it's good for what it was.
Yeah, you
I mean,
you just can't go in there being the science nerd and being like, well, that's not possible.
It's an action movie.
It's an action movie. It took me back to kind of like the old like Lethal Weapon.
Yeah, explosions, shooting, and terrible dialogue. So
Yeah, there was it was definitely not an Oscar performance, but by golly, I had a good time.
it was stick with classic. It was
Yeah, it was fun.
It
It
was-
was fun, and I didn't have to think a lot. I didn't have to think so much that I fell asleep.
yeah, it was yeah. I mean, like I didn't dislike it, but
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, I think that might be the last time I see it.
Yeah, yeah.
So-
Well, yeah. I mean, there's not a time that I'd be like, oh, I want to see that again. No, I was content with that.
I was satisfied with seeing
I was
it,
content with that viewing.
and I'll leave it there.
It was a good entree,
Mm-hmm.
and I will not be eating that dish again. But
yeah.
but it was good. It was fun. You could tell that The Rock and Jason Statham were having a good time. So it was good. It was good. I mean, I'm curious to see now. I think we're probably getting to a point now where people are having Fast and Furious fatigue.
Yeah. Yeah, especially with 9 coming out soon.
10.
No, it's 9.
Is it 9?
Yeah, it's
Are you
9.
sure?
Yeah.
Is it 9?
Yeah. Because I had that audition.
You're right. You're right.
Yeah.
It is Fast and Furious 9 2020. You're right. You're right. Yeah, I'm really curious. Well, they have John Cena in it now,
yeah, that's
so I'm
right.
curious to see kind of what they do with it.
Just a bunch of muscle. They have to fill the screen somehow.
True,
So
true.
it's
They
just
just
gonna
got
be
they have to
The
fill
Rock,
the
Vin Diesel, and
they have
John
to fill the
Cena.
whole frame. They have to fill the whole frame.
Just a lot of human
Yeah,
inside yeah.
really though. So I'm curious to see. I'm curious to see how much money this movie makes. Hobbs and Shaw. And
I'm
knowing them, they're probably gonna do
Yeah.
a sequel because if it makes enough money.
Oh, I mean, I don't know. Did they do any other like branch off movies?
I mean, Tokyo Drift was kind of a branch off, but it
I
was
don't
still
know.
part of the.
It's just kind of it's just another Fast and Furious movie. I mean, to me, this is more of just a branch off. Hobbs and Shaw is more of a branch off. It's kind of under the Hobbs and Shaw storyline.
It really didn't. I didn't like, other than the characters being a
Fast and
part
Furious,
of
I mean.
Fast and Furious. It really didn't feel like a fat. Like I'm saying, like it didn't have anything to do with Fast and Furious. You know what I'm
Didn't
saying?
really, yeah.
It had a couple fun cameos in it, but like
yeah,
there were
didn't-
no other characters.
Yeah, I was gonna say, didn't talk about any other characters.
Yeah,
it
it didn't-
just was like the one, pretty much, The Rock, in his own
Yeah,
world, I guess.
It wasn't even a part of the Fast and Furious. So if you go in there to kind of like see, like, it doesn't really fit in the storyline at all. It's just a side story. It's a
yeah.
side adventure. It was fun, and I enjoyed it. You
Yeah.
know, so. But that's not the movie we're talking about today. The movie that we are talking about today is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, where me and Matt disagree about the film. I saw the film in Michigan. I was in Michigan when it came out. I saw it on a Thursday night. I saw it opening night in Michigan.
I saw it 2 days ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I saw it late. I kept getting the people who kept asking me, "Did you see it yet? Did you see it?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "No."
Yeah, this was highly anticipated. This was highly anticipated not only on my list, not
I was
only
gonna say, you every single time we pass the poster, you point at it and be like, "That's the one."
I was very excited
And
for it.
then when I heard back from you when you saw it, it didn't do anything for you.
A lot of people in the industry were excited for it. I was excited for it. I saw it with my dad, who is not big into the industry but likes movies. Mm-hmm. We saw it together when we were walking into the theater in Livonia, Michigan. I said, "Dad, this is going to be the movie of the year." I do not think that. I do not think this was the movie of the year. This is Quentin Tarantino's 9th film. I am a huge Quentin Tarantino film. I love Quentin Tarantino. I love everything from Pulp Fiction to Inglourious Bastards to Hateful Eight. I thoroughly enjoy all of it.
Great.
This one
Was great. Just as great as all the other ones.
You see, that's where I disagree. And this is, and people are gonna shit on me for this. I know people are gonna shit on me for this, but
No, there are more people who agree with you than you think.
but this is how I explain the film, because me and my dad talked about it on the way home, and I said, this is how I categorize the film. I say every scene in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is perfect. Every actor and action and choice that the actors made in Once Upon a Time is perfect. The movie as a whole didn't do it for me. And it's not because I didn't like the choices that they made. It was, and I'm an actor, and I love acting, and I love the industry.
So are you saying that they played it safe?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. There was no, now the third act was bonkers. The third act was wild.
See, that's why I think like it was supposed to play it safe so that the last
But the
act-
problem is nothing in the first 2 acts set up the third act.
But it did more than you know. Because the end was so satisfying because the entire movie was the way it was.
I know,
You
but
know?
but it's just like there was like, and like I said, and I thought about this movie for a long time, because at first when I walked out of the theater I was like, what the F was that? But after thinking about it, this movie to me is a character study with Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio about a washed out actor and a stuntman. That's the story, with Shannon Tate in the background and the Manson murder in the background.
It's because it's kind of like they're bouncing off of each other.
Here's what I would have liked. I'm no writer, I'm no director, I'm no producer. But here's what I would have liked. I would have liked to take in the third act and moved it to the first part. So that's our opener. Is because you don't have to, because the movie didn't set up the murder of Shannon Tate,
Sharon.
So Sharon. Yeah, the movie didn't set up the murder of Sharon Tate. I mean, you kind of got a little glimpse of the Manson family, but it didn't like plot, point for point. You kind of had to go in knowing what happened. So with that being said, how I would have liked it is the first part of the movie is the third act. Mm-hmm. Boom, big first act. Then you go into how that affects Leonardo DiCaprio's character and Brad Pitt's character. Because what we saw in the this is how I categorize the movie. The first act is brilliant. The first act is, I mean, the stuff with Al Pacino and the stuff with Leonardo and the stuff with Brad and Margot and you get the feels of 1969 Hollywood, and you're getting into it, and the music and the tone and the way it's shot. It's like, oh man, this is great. The middle, you could take out that whole middle section, and it does not change getting from the first act to the third act. It is the same. You could take that whole middle section out and get the same satisfaction. So with that being said, I go, well, what's the point of the middle act? Okay, the middle act is a character study, but it does not move the plot from A to B to C. Because if you can take A and go to C without B, what's the point of, or from A to C, what's the point of B?
So,
and if you can explain that to me, I am all ears.
You're not happy with like the driving, right? The driving,
exactly,
and the slowness.
Exactly, and I was, and the pacing, I guess.
Well, here's the thing. He was trying to. It sounded like I was crying there for a second.
Yeah, I know.
So he was trying to depict L.A.
Of course, and he did a beautiful job.
So, what's the first thing you think about when you come to L.A. when people first move out here to L.A. Right?
The glam, and the light.
Glam, okay,
yeah.
And then you soon find out that the driving is terrible.
Yes,
and it's long.
Yes. So
a lot of moments actually happen more than you think when you're driving. Mm-hmm. So that's why I think that there was a lot of driving, because that's a huge part of LA and a huge part of a washed up actor or a new starting actor.
Yes.
So, and then that's what sets up, Brad sees this girl, right?
Love that part.
Yeah.
Explain to me the scene when he goes and finds the owner of the ranch.
Right.
What is the reasoning for that? They spend 15 minutes. 15 minutes.
You see, I've been thinking about that myself. I know, I'm trying to, I mean, because you can't get inside the head of Quentin Tarantino.
No, of course not. But I'm going, and I'm like, where's the twist? Where's the twist? Who's in the house?
I think it's
actually,
I think it's more to differentiate, because it's the time. I mean, there's people because there was hippies, and then there weren't. You know, so I think part of that was to kind of
differentiate.
Differentiate them.
So yeah, because I love Dakota Fanning. And she's like, well, he's in the back. And I'm going, and I'm like, ooh, what did they do? He goes back there. It's actually the owner.
Yeah.
Then they have it's just like that whole sequence is it's like okay, maybe it's historically accurate, but what does it do to the plot? What does that scene do?
It makes them sinister. Because they were not normal. Because they all hippie, like, it was peace and love.
Yeah.
Well, these are not normal. This is a cult. So it takes them out of the hippie culture and makes them a cult.
So that whole scene was to paint a picture of the Manson family.
Of like who they were. Like they're not normal people. Like
Okay.
this is not normal because he went in there saying this is not normal.
Okay.
Like
okay.
this ranch, he said no, I don't get how he will let you do this. And then he realizes, oh, they're taking advantage of you. Not only does it differentiate them from the hippie culture, it makes them a cult.
Okay.
But,
Okay. You know what? I can buy that. I can buy that. It's just the pacing, and this is what I told my dad. I said, Dad, as an actor, I loved it because that scene when he's doing that TV show with Timothy Olyphant, I think, or what's his name? Yeah, whatever his name is. He's doing that cowboy show,
Yeah.
and he forgets the line. You know, with line. That is effing perfect. I mean, that is like
when he was acting, he was acting brilliant.
it was great. And then he has his monologue in the trailer when he's like, "Oh, you're an amateur and this and that." I thought that was, oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that was good.
Yeah, they're all so great.
You know,
Brad Pitt was just as charming as he always is.
Brad Pitt is phenomenal in this.
Yeah.
Brad Pitt is remarkable in this film.
And that whole ending part was, oh god,
the third part feels most like a Tarantino film for me. Like the third part is like, yep, here we are. The first two, and like I said, I have so much respect for this film.
Yeah.
And the balls that it has to be almost 3 hours and do what it does.
Well, that's why like I enjoyed it for what it was. I mean, because I heard so many people say, "Oh, it's too long. There's so much time." But
no, there is not a frame wasted in this film.
That's the point. Is like if you don't like movies and you don't like film, then don't go to it.
Exactly. Here's where I think it struggles. You have a lot of people who are not into film in the Midwest. My dad loves film. My dad loves Rocky. My dad loves Rambo. My dad loves a lot of good films.
Some Sylvester
But it was
Rocky's my favorite movie.
Yeah. And my dad loves a lot of. I mean, he probably would love Hobbs and Shaw. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood didn't do it for him because you have to have. I think you have to have a certain palate for that kind of film. I think you have to love Hollywood. I think you have to love old Hollywood. You have to love the history of film and TV. And if you're not into that, that's not going to be a movie. Because I also talked to my uncle, and my uncle is even a bigger movie aficionado, and he wasn't 100% on board. So I think that this is for a very niche audience. You know what I'm saying? And I think that
I don't
unlike
think it was made to be that way.
it definitely wasn't made for a wide release audience.
I think it was made. I'm not really sure. Like I said, I can't get in the head of Quentin Tarantino. But at the same time, I don't think it was made to be geared towards one group. It may have been.
I mean, look, this movie is a love letter to Hollywood.
It is,
and this is a love letter, and this is a piece of Hollywood, and
a way to reverse what happened with the Manson.
Yeah, absolutely, because
in our own minds, a way to reverse it.
This is what Tarantino would have wanted to happen. I mean, spoilers for Hollywood, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, when he brings out the flamethrower,
God damn,
and he just starts burning her. I was like, damn.
At the same time, I was like, you're in a pool, dug down. Oh no.
I was like, holy tamale.
Yeah.
But I didn't. It's not. I'm not coming out here saying I hate the film. I'm not saying I don't dislike the film. I don't. As the actor part of me, loved the film. But the moviegoer part of me went, I wanted more plot. I wanted them, and I understand. But I don't. I'm not being naive to it. Like I understand this is a slice of life story of a character in a certain place in his life. Okay, so I understand the plot and I understand the story, but for me, I think the most compelling stories are characters where shit goes wild. You know what I'm saying? Because there are stories that are just slice of life. This is Cynthia in her home, and this is her day to day. This is what I felt that movie was like. This is an actor who is struggling, which was the twist, but there wasn't anything wild to happen. I love the stories that go, this is Brad who's an accountant, but his wife gets murdered and now he becomes a psychopath. Like that's the kind of stories that intrigue me. But I can appreciate that this film does so much. I just wish there was more. And I think what is the saving grace for this film is the fact that it is Quentin Tarantino. Because I think if you place this movie and headlined another director, we'd be giving it more shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because I think if it was another director, we'd say, why didn't you give it more plot? Why didn't you shave, more time off the scenes? Why did you do this and that? So I think because it's Tarantino, I think we give him more slack.
Well, I mean, the man he knows what he's doing. Like
Absolutely, and he knows how to shoot.
You think like someone brings it to him or gives him their opinion and says like, it's kind of slow. You think he's gonna be like, oh, you really think it was
no,
slow?
no,
Damn,
Quentin, no. Quentin
he knows.
Yeah, no. Quentin Tarantino knows what he wants
He's a
to shoot,
professional,
and
so.
he knows the shots to take, and you know what? He gets them. He gets the shots.
So like, if it was slow, it's slow for a reason.
Yeah, everything he does is for a reason, and it's.
And that's why, and that's what kind of kept me. Why is this going on right now?
Yeah,
And what's this for?
When I was watching it, I went, "This is a masterpiece." This is a masterpiece. But I wish there was more, and I'm not, and I just wish there was more. But I'm not knocking the film in any way, and I'm not shitting on it in any way. I still love the film. I just don't think it's in the air. Like, I think Pulp Fiction had more plot.
It was
and was still
chock full of plot.
Yeah, and was still artfully done. I think that Inglourious Bastards had more plot, but was still artfully done. You see what I'm saying?
Wait, Brad Pitt,
yeah.
Talking about Brad Pitt. What did you like him in more?
I loved him. I loved Brad Pitt more in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Okay, but I thought the Inglourious Bastards was a better film. I was more intrigued.
To me, they're both kind of right there with each other.
At the end of the day, Pulp Fiction is my favorite Tarantino film. I don't think you can get any higher
To lots of people
than Pulp Fiction, because it was a balance. I think that what happened with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, there was a lack of balance. I think that you had a lot of good stuff, but if you don't, you can have compelling characters and you can have a compelling setting, but if those characters aren't doing anything, I'm not involved. And vice versa. You could have a really cool environment in a very cool world, but if you don't have interesting characters, no one's going to listen. So I think it's trying to find that balance between character, setting, and plot. I think those are your big three. I think that Once Upon a Time in Hollywood had remarkable characters and had remarkable setting. I wish they did. I wish they did more with Margot Robbie, with Sharon Tate. I wish they did more.
I think they did a perfect amount.
You think so?
Because I can't find a way to describe it, but it wasn't so much a.
I know it wasn't her story. I know it wasn't her story.
At the same time, it was, because she was just kind of doing what she did, and then there was Brad Pitt and Leo.
Yeah.
And then, but it was. It's so hard for me to describe.
So wait.
I don't have it quite.
No, I know. But like, was there not any point in the story when you were just sitting there going, okay, can we get to the next scene?
No.
There was not one moment. Not one moment.
Because I wanted to know what was going on in each scene. I wanted to know, what is this for? What's she doing? Like, the entire movie, when she was in the movie, I was like, what is she doing?
That was great. No, that was great.
What is she doing? And that's why, like, people were saying, like, oh, why doesn't she speak more? She didn't need to.
No, that was
to me. It was
no,
like, she didn't
no.
need to
I
talk
think
at all.
I think the biggest hang up for me was Brad Pitt going to the ranch.
Yeah.
I think that was a very long sequence that you could have gotten what you wanted to say in half the time.
In a way, it was very Hitchcock.
Yeah,
suspense.
yeah, but I'm not knocking it.
But
you
to
know?
me, it separated them because to me it made them a cult versus than just a bunch of hippies. It
Yeah.
made us realize these people are not normal.
Yeah, no, you're right. And the one thing that I did love was Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah.
Every scene he was in, I was involved.
That's my favorite. That's my boy.
Yeah, he was just remarkable.
Yeah.
He was just remarkable. I love the third act. I just think it's so.
Well, that's why, like I said,
That's why you go to a Tarantino film is for the third act.
Well, even like the entire movie was the way it was. It was telling a story. It was telling like, here's what they are doing. Like, you know, like here's
But-
Sharon Tate doing her thing, doing
Yeah,
her thing.
yeah,
Here's them doing their thing,
But,
doing.
but
their
look,
thing.
I would agree with you. But before the third act, I go 8 years later.
Mhm.
You see what I'm saying? So now I go, well, was all that for nothing? Because now we're cutting to the third act. What the first two acts do is they establish who these characters are. More importantly, they establish who Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio are, and where they are. But then it's like Quarantino goes, well, all that doesn't matter because he goes and does spaghetti westerns in Italy, and then he comes back, and this is where we are now. So then I'm thinking as an audience member, well, why did I just spend 2 hours going through all that if you're just going to time lapse 8 years? You see what I'm saying?
Well, because
And I know, and I'm not saying that I disagree with the thing, but that's just how I felt. I was going, well, if you're going to fast forward 8 years, why did we spend so much time on the 8 years before? Where I would have done it is like, okay, let's start off after the 8 year mark, and then just continue for two and a half, and see how the murder affected them going forward. But what Quentin, what I think was trying to do is paint a picture of how was Hollywood like in 1969, and how was the acting like in 1969, and where were movie stars at in 1969, and what was the feel of 1969, and what was the atmosphere of 1969, and what was important in 1969. So it's less of a plot piece, and more of a this is what was going on at that time period, and it was more of a documentary than a film.
well, I think that might have been some of the point was like, here's what's going on.
Exactly. So
not only with like in general 69, but these specific people and these fictional characters.
Exactly.
So here's a story to go along with a story.
yeah. So if
And-
someone
yeah.
is gonna go and see this film, do not go in going for a film of action, a film of plot, no, a film of high intensity plot, a film of quick changes and movement. This is taking you back to a time period in a certain city at a certain time with a certain ideology. And this is taking the frame that you have and giving you perspective of what was like back in the day. And with that in mind, he achieved that goal.
I'm also trying to stay away from the term character development.
Yeah, no,
I
no,
don't wanna-
it was a character study.
Yeah,
It was
like,
more of a character
A
study.
lot of people say, "Oh, it's character." I'm trying to stay away from that
No,
because
no.
I don't think that's really
no,
what it was.
no, it was
It's-
it was a character depiction.
Yeah,
It was a character. A study. I mean, it really was. It really was because I watched an interview later because I was trying to understand this film later. Quentin Tarantino had very specific actors in mind during that time period who were in westerns and were trying to break their way. That didn't make it. They were caught in the gray area. This is who we're focusing on. It's a very thin sliver of Hollywood history.
the character actors that were always,
Mm-hmm.
you know, second banana. I mean, like if you look at like a lot, like look at Andy Griffith, like for example.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, like you look at like all these other shows along with Andy Griffith's show. Like there are people who play multiple roles in that, but they always play those multiple roles, and
Exactly.
they're never
Exactly.
They're never
Tarantino-
Andy Griffith.
Yeah, Tarantino
So-
had a very specific idea, and I think that that's what he did. So, at the end of the day, I love the film. I love Leonardo. I love Tarantino. I love Brad Pitt. I love Margot Robbie. I love Dakota Fanning. I love everyone that was in the film, and I'm gonna go see it again. Believe it or not, I'm gonna go. Even though it sounds like I'm shitting on the film, I'm gonna go see it again because when I see films with people, I am more worried about how they are feeling about the film than I am myself. Because when I was with my dad, I was more worried about what he was feeling because I'm an entertainer, and I'm more worried about how my audience feels before I do. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to see it by myself. I'm going to really take in the moments and really understand what this film is about. I'm going to do that this week.
Yeah.
So, and I think that everything you say is valid. I think that every point you made is right on the money. I just need to go back and see it for a second viewing because I am not smart enough to understand what this film is about. And I'm going to go back and see and really kind of understand. And maybe we should go again.
I think we all feel.
Yeah,
feel that
yeah.
when it
Matt, and
comes to
I think
him.
Matt,
Yeah.
we should go and see it one more time.
Yeah, I want to see it again.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
It was-
So we'll go this
it
week. We'll
was-
plan to go and see it this week.
It was great for me. It was such a good movie,
Yeah.
and like it was worth every second. And as soon as we like I said, there's a lot of people that I talked to. It could be shorter. No, no,
Yeah,
it can't.
no.
It
Well, it's
can't be.
Tarantino.
It,
It's
need- it was what it was.
Yep,
and let it be
exactly.
that.
True.
So-
So that was Tarantino's film. How have things been otherwise? How you know? I haven't talked to you in a while. How's work? What's going on? You know
work,
how's
work
how's
is work is work. Stupid and boring.
Stupid. There
Not
you
what
go.
I want to do.
no?
Not
You
where I
did.
want
You
to
did
be.
not. You did not come out here to work for Skechers.
No.
You know.
I mean, it just kind of helps me do what I need to do.
Of course. Well, well, look. You're paying bills.
Yeah.
Okay. You're paying bills, and you're paying car insurance, and you're paying car bills, and you're doing what you got to do, and you're doing.
when
you're
I'm
doing-
there and I need to think about it, it just there's something always like, no, I don't want to think about this right now, but
Yeah.
I have to because it's the job, and I just there's a part of me that just doesn't care, and for the position that I'm in, it just doesn't work. And
Yeah, it definitely-
it needs to work for right now because I need to pay my bills. But
Exactly. Exactly.
It you know, but it's fine. You know, it's not back-breaking work.
no.
It's fine. But other than that, yeah, no, auditions have been slow.
Yeah, it has been really slow.
Very, very slow. I already told you that my
Mm-hmm.
emails make the Sahara look like a jungle. So, like,
It's been slow ever since I pissed off that casting company or that casting director. Ever since I pissed off that casting office, I've been quite slow. So I wonder.
one of the first stories that I ever heard about someone getting kicked out of.
I know. Can you believe that? I
getting
know.
kicked out of a casting.
Yeah,
office.
you know,
what
it-
do you need to say?
It definitely takes a certain breed of character to have the casting director 20 minutes after your audition call your manager and go, he's a douchebag. You know,
never
He-
can come back here.
Yep, you are
again.
never allowed back here again. So I don't know, that's just how it goes, I guess. I'm sure that happened to Jim Carrey and Robin Williams.
Well, when you're trying to when we're as desperate as we are, you're so in order to make yourself memorable, you say stupid.
you
things.
do whatever you have to do, and that's what my dad taught me. My dad goes, you do what you got to do to get your name out there, and that's just what I did. And
Yeah.
and I'm not ashamed of it.
I've had my fair share of stupid jokes. I mean, not like offensive, but just
No.
dumb jokes
Yeah.
that I've said, like
Exactly.
acting like an idiot in a casting room just to make myself memorable. And
Exactly. So that's just how that goes. But I've
it actually made me more angry when you told me they kicked you out or told you that you're banned.
yeah.
Because when you told me the joke that you said,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, that make
Yeah,
anyone
yeah.
like the
Yeah.
person who kind of like pushed that towards you should have been banned more.
I know, yeah, it wasn't, but it's okay,
Yeah.
I mean, we're in a very sensitive time right now, so I'm not against it, and I love film and I love casting directors, so
Yeah,
don't get angry at me,
Yeah,
but it's
At the
okay.
same time, it's fine. It's just
At the end of the day,
you gotta really
and this is how I looked at it, because I really thought a long time about this. At the end of the day, we are on this, and John Homa goes into it, and I really have been thinking about it. We are on this planet for such a short amount of time, less than 100 years, which in the grand scheme of things isn't that long of a time. I can't worry about every time I piss someone off, because I piss people off a lot, you know. I mean, the
Clearly.
shit, yeah. I mean, the shit I say really does rattle people up, and if I got
Well, it
if
makes
I,
I think you shake people because like it's just not normal. I think a lot of people don't expect it. and
yeah,
then they
I
get
am.
blindsided by the things you
I am a
say.
very different individual, and I categorize myself in the Jim Carrey, Andy Kaufman, Nicolas Cage group. That's just like,
Are you
who
gonna
the
fake your own death?
yeah, like who is that? Why is he doing that? So, you know, at the end of the day, my goal is to make people laugh, and sometimes I piss people off doing that, and that's okay. But you know, I love what I do, and I love entertaining people, and that's just the bottom line. So if people get pissed off, so be it. Other than that, I was supposed to go on a date tonight.
Yeah, you told me.
I was supposed to go on a date tonight with this girl, and I am going to send this podcast to her because A, to promote, of course, but B, I want to let her know that I'm very disappointed.
Where you at?
Yeah, where you be, girl? I met this girl at the Magic Castle with my uncle, and my uncle pulled out his effing coin trick again, and he's doing his thing. But I felt like there was a connection, and we were talking and we were texting and this, you know, doing that shit, and we were planning on going on a date tonight, or hanging out, I guess, on the you know, broad end of things. We're gonna hang out, you know, maybe not a date, but kind of hang out and maybe go to the bar or something. And I texted her a couple days ago, and she didn't. You know, we were texting back and forth, and I texted somebody, she didn't respond. Then today, I texted, "Hey, what's up?" Very innocently, and I talked to my friends about it. I said, "Hey, is it okay to do this?" And we're like, "Yeah, just text, hey, what's up?" Text, hey, what's up? Nothing's going on. All day, and the effed up part about it is, like, I was excited for this, you know, and I usually don't get excited for things like this, but I was genuinely excited, like, oh, you know, we're gonna go out and have a good time. Nothing, heard nothing from her. And that's just how it goes, folks. That is the name of the game. So, I'm not going to say her name, but I'm going to send this to you. And if you're listening, I just want to let you know that I am sad and upset. And I hope that...
Upset? What's going on?
Yeah. And I just, you know, I wanted to hang out. I wanted to get to know you and have maybe have a few beers. So, if you're listening, I would love to hang out with you. And I hope that whatever went down today on Sunday, I hope it was worth it. So, with that, I've been drinking. I've had Angry Orchards. I've had White Claws. It's been, I'm gonna say this on here. I think this has been our best episode we've done yet.
So far, yeah.
I think this has been a phenomenal episode. And like I said, the first, our viewers right out the gate are gonna be friends and family.
Yeah.
So to our friends and family, I want to say thank you for putting up with us, first of all.
Yeah.
And B,
a lot of people don't think it's actually gonna be.
yeah, you know,
Yeah.
and I was talking to a buddy at dinner at Yard House. I said, I really want this podcast to be something, but I just don't know. And he said, you know, with your guys' personality, it's going to be okay. So
It should be fine.
yeah,
I mean,
you know, I just want to thank everyone for listening. I know it's a little bit harder with audio. Eventually, we are going to put a camera up,
yeah,
so that you can kind of see our reactions, and we're going to start doing stupid shit. But right now, I just want to really focus on getting audio down, and I also want to focus on getting more people involved. I know we have a lot of people in acting class that see a lot of films, so I want to get them
Yeah, we're gonna
involved.
be bringing on a bunch of people. You know, it's not gonna be us. Actually, probably more often than not, at least what we think in our minds, is gonna be more than just me and you.
Yeah, it's gonna be people from acting class. It's gonna be friends and this and that. So,
Yeah.
and I'm really excited for that because, you know, we're two white dudes and we have a very narrow perspective on things. So I think if we can get more,
we are very similar in thought and
yeah, exactly. So if we can get more women involved and more men and more people of, you know,
opinions,
yeah,
different opinions,
exactly.
yeah.
So if we can get people who really have different mindsets, I think that will be really good. So we're gonna continue to do that. We're gonna be continuing to entertain, and we're gonna be continuing to making people laugh. If you have any thoughts or comments, please feel free to comment in the YouTube section because
Speaking of that, we just want to let people know that we are in no way, shape, or form professionals.
no, yes, that
we
is
think we know what we're
yeah,
talking
no,
about. But
we
might
are
not.
we are dumb shits. You know, we are
Yeah.
we are just two actors in LA trying to make it in the industry.
Struggling.
Yeah,
just,
yeah,
you know.
we're doing this because we just want to have fun and we want to talk about what we love. And I think the best thing someone can do is be passionate about something. And I think that when you're passionate about something, you can inspire other people to be passionate. It was a big thing in Mr. Rogers. I saw the documentary last year, Won't You Be My Neighbor?
Oh, and I saw the previews.
And
coming
Mr.
out.
and Mr. Rogers was a big fan of if you show people who are passionate about something, it's going to ignite a flame. And that's what we want to do here at the Jacob Michael Show. We want to ignite a flame in people and get people passionate. And even if you're not into film and TV, we just want to get you excited, and we want you to understand that we're excited, and we want
to excite ourselves too,
Exactly.
because a lot of times we find ourselves down, because I
yeah,
said,
this industry is very depressing and it's very upsetting. So if there's and I am blessed to say that I'm able to sit here with Matt, who is a very good friend of mine, and be able to talk film with him for an hour. So
Yeah.
if this is anything, this is a therapy session for me, and it's something where I can laugh with Matt and have a good time. And if it's able to help you guys, that's all I care about. And if I'm able to make you laugh or offend you or make you upset, that's what I do too. So you're getting all the emotions. I want to do a shout out to to people on YouTube like Collider Live and Screen Junkies News. You guys are the reason why we started this. I have been watching, and then you've been watching people too.
I've been watching Tiny Meat Gang.
You've been watching Tiny Meat Bang.
I love those two
these
guys,
these
Cody
are
Cohen, Noah
these are
Miller.
the YouTubers that we watch, that we are inspired from. So if you get a chance, make sure you go over there and like and subscribe their stuff. Please like and subscribe our stuff. Like anything, we're just in the space making people laugh and loving people. And if there's anything that my mom has taught me, it's to love people and inspire people. And if there's anything that my dad has taught me, make sure you make money off of this. So I want to thank everyone for listening today. Matt, thank you for being such a great
It was great.
co-host.
Coerced.
The white claws are flowing, as you can hear. Thank you guys so much. This is our first episode. Friends and family, thank you, and Mazel Tov. So we will see you next week. What's coming out this week? What's coming out this week? Do we even know? Here we go. AMC. We're gonna be doing shows. We're gonna be doing shows every week. So I just want to make sure that we can.
We'll talk about something current, and then
We're gonna be talking about August 9th. We're gonna be talking about Dora the Explorer. Just kidding. Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, Dora the Explorer, The Kitchen. It's gonna be a rough week next week, but that's okay. We're gonna be reviewing Dora and The Kitchen. Thank you guys for tuning in. Have a great rest of your week, and love you. All right, have a good night. Bye bye.